Remember, if it's in a tied situation, Joey Logano gets it on the tiebreaker. And in a wild swing on the last lap, things are going in Joey Logano's favor. Incredible. Whoa! Oh, and around goes Chastain.
The discussion around the championship format for NASCAR is a divisive one, to say the least. And it's gotten to a point, especially since last November, if you are a paid-off NASCAR bootlicker, this moment just proves how amazing the playoffs are and how they're perfect in every way and there's nothing wrong with them whatsoever. And if you don't like the playoffs, this just makes you hate them even more. So in a way, it seems as though this is either the final nail in the coffin or just another example of how this format is just never going to go away. Hopefully it's the former, but this is NASCAR. Making the incorrect decision is second nature to them. And we can debate a wall all we want all day long, but the fact of the matter is, this championship format is responsible for some of the single worst driving standards I've maybe ever seen.
Here comes Austin Dillon. He gets in the back of Joey Logano. Logano spins to the bottom. Denny Hamlin, he gets collected by Dillon. Checkered flag is out.
Blatant and obvious race manipulation.
You know the deal? Just trying to find him and tell him. Justin, you tell crew chief also clear off. Off they go! 10-4, does the one crew chief know the deal? Yeah, he should.
And worst of all, illegitimate champions.
Joey Logano steps into history! He's a three-time Cup Series champion!
Despite what the shills of NASCAR will tell you, the playoffs are not entertaining or exciting. They are disappointing and embarrassing.
You know, I saw that, I watched it, and I'm like, man, well, I didn't want that. I didn't need that.
Did that really change anything?
That didn't make me go, damn, I'm glad we got the playoffs so I could see that.
What we saw on the last lap at the Roval does not make me proud to be a NASCAR fan. It does not make me want to stand up in a crowd and say, hey everybody, look at what my favorite sport is doing. Boy, I sure am proud to be a NASCAR fan right now. No, I would like to dig a hole, go into hibernation, and disassociate myself from this sport and get away as far away as possible. And this is the part that is so difficult to get through the thick skulls of the people high up at NASCAR. We are the joke of motorsports. We're the laughingstock of just about every motorsports series on the planet. At least recently, there's been a lot of talk about viewership numbers and how overall viewership is down a ton. Of course, there's lots of finger pointing about, oh, it's the NFL's fault, or oh, it's all the cable races instead of on big network TV or streaming or whatever. Right now, NASCAR, how it treats its product is so eerily similar to modern WWE. Now, that may not make sense off the bat, but stay with me here. One of the common complaints that you can see when it comes to WWE is the fact that WWE is chasing what they call viral moments. The WWE and the scriptwriters are chasing viral moments, something that will explode on social media and get everyone talking about them because it's such a crazy thing. They're so concerned about those 30 seconds of footage that's going to go viral on the internet. How you get to the big moment and what happens afterwards doesn't seem to matter. They just want this particular moment, this 30-second clip in a vacuum, to go viral. NASCAR is also chasing viral moments, but they don't call them viral moments, do they? They call them Game 7 moments. Okay, so if it's one of the 3 Fs, whether it's a fight, a flip, or a finish, NASCAR chases those bits, those viral bits, in hopes of reaching the younger audience. But by jumping through all these hoops to create a points format that creates embarrassing moments like this to try and reach a certain number of likes and clicks and comments, So you're chasing somebody who's not going to bother watching the product at all in its entirety, okay? Someone's not going to watch Chastain full send it wreck Hamlin and allow someone else into the next round of the championship playoffs and go, oh, that 30-second bit was amazing. Now I'm going to go watch 400 miles of it next Sunday, because that's not how it works. So you're chasing a viewer who's going to interact with your product for 30 seconds, but then immediately afterwards is going to go just find the next viral thing and completely forget about the thing you just did. You're trying to convince someone who has a shorter attention span than a goldfish to watch a 400+ mile race. That's not going to happen. Okay, that's just that conversion rate will never work ever. The majority of the sport is made up of 300, 400 to 500 mile races, even 600. So you chase this demographic and you run away your core demographic of viewers who actually care about, who actually will sit down and watch 3+ hours of your broadcast. And then your viewership number's down. And then you scratch your head and you wonder why. Well, I can tell you why. You're trying to make NASCAR something that it's very definitely not. So can you fix it? Is it even possible to fix it? That's a tough one to answer. First and foremost, don't make NASCAR something that it's not. Okay? This isn't a stick and ball sport. It's been said 100 bazillion times, and it's going to have to get said 100 bazillion more times. NASCAR's not a stick and ball sport. You can't have a postseason. The only motorsport I have ever seen that can successfully and legitimately, in my opinion, pull off a points format postseason, have a regular season and a playoffs, is the NHRA with drag racing. Because you're not racing the whole garage at once. Every single race weekend is a bracket with one-on-one matchups, as you would with a stick and ball sport. So that is something that legitimately works, right? They have a postseason, they have their own version of the playoffs, they call it the countdown. That works. When you have 30 to 40 cars, racing on the same racetrack every given weekend, you can't have a postseason. You can't have a playoffs where you eliminate somebody's advantage and say, okay, go racing again. But this time the points are closer. Ooh, how interesting. Which is tough. Which is going to be tough, because in order to do that, you will basically just put an asterisk on the last 20 years of NASCAR. It's like, yeah, these people won the championship, but they won it in a way that's very controversial, so we're just gonna we have to acknowledge that it happened, but we're gonna have to kind of just pretend that it wasn't that bad. That's tough. That's tough, and that's why I just don't see that happening. I don't see a full hard reset of the sport ever happening. But the basics, going back to the basics, and go back to square one and say, how can we make this sport fundamentally better? Full season points format. That's how you make this sport fundamentally better at its core. There will still be plenty of problems, but fundamentally, the sport will be back in a legitimate stance. Get your core fan base back. Make your core fan base proud to be a NASCAR fan. It might be smaller than you want, but those fans, your core fan base, need to be proud of their sport. They need to sit there and go, yeah, I'm a NASCAR fan, and I'm glad that I am. If you get that right, you fix a lot of what's wrong with this sport. Simple as that.